We're really excited to have Cody here. He works here at WGU and he's going to talk to us about Ask a Grad. So, Cody, feel free, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really excited to be here. I have been, I guess a little bit more about me. My name is Cody Mon. I've been here with WGU almost 7 years now. Originally from South Carolina, like I said, and now I live here in Salt Lake City, where WGU is headquartered. I just finished my master's degree here at WGU as well. I actually got my undergrad and now my master's degree, so I've kind of seen all sides of WGU. Had learned about them before working here and then went on to get my undergrad, got my graduate degree, and also work here. And now I'm inside of the Alumni Relations Department here at WGU. So I'm a huge fan of WGU and a lot of what we have to offer. And so welcome everyone here. I'm kind of curious. You can sound off in the chat as well. If you guys are either prospective students looking to join WGU, if you're current students in the middle of your program, or if you're a graduate who has now graduated from your program, you can go ahead and sound off on the chat. And I am sharing my screen. The very next slide is going to be a video. So I did share with the audio. Kristen, I might actually, if you don't mind, coming back on camera and just give me the thumbs up if you can hear the sound when I play the video. That'll help me out a little bit. Or you can just sound off with just talking. That would be super handy. All right, let's see. Just finished the MBA, Karen. Awesome. Congratulations. Current student, Bachelor's of Accounting, current student. Current student with 8 classes left with my Bachelor's of Accounting. Congratulations. Awesome. Well, Karen, I also did the MBA program. So I'm right there with you. I just finished it. Technically, my graduation date was the 15th, so 2 days ago. All righty. Hopefully you guys have heard of Ask a Grad. If you haven't, this is even more exciting. You get to learn about a platform that we have here at WGU. It's a relatively new platform. We're coming up on an official year here at WGU of offering the Ask a Grad platform. It is exactly what it sounds like. We are trying to connect prospective students, current students, and alumni with other graduates, and I'll explain how that operates and how that works on the back end. And we just, another milestone is we just hit 1,000 questions last month. So we've already received 1,000 questions on this platform, and even more impressive, we have answered those 1,000 questions with 1,700 answers, which is even more impressive. Okay, so let me go ahead and dive into the presentation. I'll go to the next slide, and this is where the video is with a little bit of back end. So again, Kristen, if you don't mind just making sure that you can hear the sound here. Oops, let me make sure I'm clicked on my screen.
Whether you're new to WGU and exploring degree options, or are in the thick of earning your WGU degree, thousands of night owls have been where you are and want to help you succeed. These alumni can provide insights into career opportunities, industry trends, and ways to prepare for your future. And you don't have to wait until graduation to seek their advice. With WGU's Ask a Grad platform, it's never been easier to connect with alumni and benefit from their experiences. Submitting a question is simple. Just fill out the Ask a Grad form with your name, email, and the questions or topics you'd like advice on. The platform then works in the background to match your question with WGU graduates who have relevant experience. Once matched, alumni will receive your question. And if someone has insights to share, they'll respond directly to your email. While response times vary, many users receive helpful advice within a day. From there, you can continue the conversation and gain valuable guidance from real WGU graduates who have navigated similar paths. You have questions. Our grads have answers. Connect with fellow night owls who can guide you on your journey by visiting askagrad.wgu.edu.
All right, awesome. Now I'm going to dive into a little bit more about the back end of Ask a Grad, how it works, what kind of questions you can ask. And I've got plenty of examples, real examples in here. I have blacked out a couple of the names, so you'll see a bunch of blue bars. That way people have anonymity with their questions and their answers. But I've got plenty of examples here to be able to show you guys. So I'll show those off. So really, what is Ask a Grad? Well, it's a peer-to-peer alumni mentoring platform. We like to call it micro mentoring. Ask a Grad connects WGU students, prospective students, and alumni with graduates who can provide real-world insights and mentorship. As far as how it works, users can submit questions about their program, their career fields, certifications, student experience, or any other unique topic that you would like to ask. And then the secret sauce, kind of the behind the Ask a Grad platform, what it's doing is it is matching each question to WGU alumni based on relevant criteria, such as which school they attended, the degree, their employer, their job title on file, and even their geolocation, where they're located, if they're located near you. Alumni can receive requests to their alumni records email address through a phase, excuse me, alumni receive email requests to their alumni records email address through a phased approach and can choose to respond at their own convenience. So I always like to say, because we'll probably have a couple of alumni here on this call, as we saw, we have some students, we have some alumni. We always want to thank you guys. Thank you, alumni, if you've already answered a question A, or if you haven't yet, you may receive a question in the future. So just thanking you in advance on behalf of the Night Owl community that your experience is unique and extremely important, and you'll be able to potentially share that with other prospects, students, or alumni down the line. And I like to say, we've hit a major milestone here recently here at WGU. We have over 400,000 graduates. Now imagine all those 400,000 graduates across the country, so many unique employers, so many different departments and fields there. There's so much lived experience and degree experience across 400,000 graduates that it's a plethora of knowledge, and being able to tap into that with questions is very, very unique and what makes this platform special. So who can benefit? Everybody. Our prospective students can gain firsthand insights before enrolling from actual WGU alumni. Our current students can get advice on student life, career trajectory, and useful tips. I'd say students probably use the platform the most. It's probably about a 70% students, 20% alumni, 10% prospective students, because so many students want to know what's going to happen, what's coming next. I'm a couple classes away from earning my degree. I want to meet with other graduates who are in my field. WGU has been around for 28-ish years now. And so we have a lot of graduates who have decades to years of experience in these fields. And as students, you can tap into that and say, hey, I have questions about this. What have you learned after with all this experience? I'm now entering into that job field. I'm now, a computer science grad. What can I look forward to? Or, my WGU education has gotten me this far, but now that you're actually in the field, you've been working, what are some certificates that I should look into if I'm really wanting to, put my stamp on something and make my resume even more punchier? That way I can progress further, past the degree. So with that same example, apart from current students, our alumni, we also encourage other graduates to ask questions to other graduates, explore employment opportunities, expand their network, and share their expertise. Here at WGU, as everyone knows, we graduate students every day. So, if you're a grad and you're saying, hey, I just got my degree, but I don't know what's next. I have the piece of paper now, but what does my career look like? Ask a grad, ask those graduates who have been in your shoes and have graduated years ago. So why ask a grad? And you could probably put the pieces together now, but the question that we keep on getting asked is, how can I give back? That's one of the most common questions that we hear from graduates. So here on the WGU Alumni Relations team, which is the team that I represent, we set out to find a platform that makes it easier than ever to do just that. We often hear from graduates who want to stay engaged and give back to the university or help fellow night owls, but life gets busy. Between work, family, time constraints, and the challenge of remembering various platforms and sign-ons, I think we can all relate to that. Even well-intentioned alumni find it hard to stay involved. That's why Ask a Grad makes it simple. It scales mentorship through an automated matching, empowering askers with real-world advice from alumni at the responder's convenience. I also have a lot of reviews throughout this presentation, so you'll see several of those. I love this one from Corey that we received not too long ago. He gave us a 10 out of 10 as far as Ask a Grad, and he said, honestly, this is a genius idea. I don't have time to do this often, but I'm certainly willing to help out when someone's starting to get into the field. Give pointers that helped me in the real world, and we already communicate outside of this platform. So love what Corey had to say here. He's a graduate, and we get it. Not all grads have tons of time. Every university is wanting to create some sort of mentorship platform, getting their grads more involved. And every grad, I think, is saying, yeah, get me involved. I'd love to give back. But also at the same time, I'm now a graduate, but I'm working and I have kids and a family and, trying to put food on the table. Oh, where do I find the time? And then the weekends come, and that's when you're trying to like me trying to watch some college football. And so you just don't have the time. But hey, if you can get a question and you can answer it, you might not be able to do it all the time, but this platform makes it super simple for our graduates and for the askers as well to be able to connect and get their questions answered. All right, moving on. If you haven't visited the page yet, we direct all traffic to askagrad.wgu.edu. Like you're going to be reminded at the bottom of every one of these slides and in that video, you're going to be presented with a page that looks just like this. And I need to update the number. It does, I think, still say 380,000 graduates, but we now have 400,000 graduates, so I need to get that updated. We direct all traffic here. There is no SSO over there you can see with a smiley face. What do I mean by that? That is single sign-on, meaning you don't have to sign on to this. If you're a current student or you're alumni, you're probably used to signing into things all over the place and using that student login like you use for your portal. You do not need to use that for this platform. And why did we do that? It's because we want to get our prospective students involved. We want to be able to give them the opportunity to also ask questions. If we put it all behind some sort of a wall or a filter like a sign-on, then we're probably not going to be able to get our prospective students involved. And we've had a lot of success having graduates be able to answer the questions of prospective students that have ultimately resulted in them wanting to enroll here at WGU. So a little bit more from here, you'll notice that there was a big blue button that said ask a question. After clicking that button, you'll be presented with a form like this over on the right-hand side. We're going to ask a little bit of basic information from you, like your name, your email, school, relationship to WGU, and then you can ask your question. So it needs to be at least, under 2,000 characters, no attachments. It doesn't need to be text only. And then as far as the back end, once submitted, the system analyzes the question to extract key details. The algorithm detects context clues and assigns relevant tags to categorize the inquiry. I'm sure we're all using the modern forms of AI today, whether that be Perplexity and Grok and OpenAI. Well, you can imagine something like that is also running in the back end. All questions that are being submitted, it is reading those, it's sorting it out, finding the tags. What is the gist of this question? How can we best match it to our alumni? And that's what's happening in the back end. So Ask Your Grad reviews the WGU alumni database, and it finds the best fit respondents based on relevant criteria. So let's go through a couple of examples, because you might be wondering, well, what is a good question? What are people really asking? And on the askgrad.wgu.edu page, there are some sample questions, but I've got some here. And so it sounds like we have some representation of different schools here. I did see a lot of business students here, but we've got on the screen, I've got 4 real questions from 4 real individuals. So we've got School of Business, School of Health, School of Education, School of Technology, and I'll read the parts that are in yellow. So if you want to, go ahead and feel free to read the whole question. But we've got, I'm seeking advice on how to effectively retain key terms and definitions to pass an objective assessment. So this is an individual who's expected to graduate there in 2026, and she's wanting to have some advice on studying. So again, asking graduates, what were things that helped you pass your classes? Ashley said, I'm seeking advice on pursuing a career as a registered nurse. So wanting some details on that and exploring what's next in her career. I'm seeking to connect with alumni who work in learning and development in the corporate space. This is from School of Education, goes on to continue asking their question. And then we have Henry here, School of Technology. I'm currently working as a support engineer, and I'm looking to transition into a solutions engineer or sales engineer role. I'm seeking advice on the keys to success in these roles and any guidance you might offer someone looking to make a similar career switch. So again, this one's a bit more career related in this specific field. So again, the system is analyzing these questions, looking at our 400,000 graduates and saying, okay, out of these graduates and what we know from them, what our graduates have shared with us, who is best to be able to answer these questions? So I'm going to give you another real question, and this time I'm actually going to give you a real answer from a graduate. And this is one of my favorite questions and one of my favorite answers. School of Education here, this is Kaysen, said he was a freshman at WGU studying in the School of Education. I'm particularly interested in exploring the intersection of education, low-income communities, remember that because that gets into the answer, and entrepreneurship. I'm reaching out to you today to seek advice on how I can best prepare myself for a high school teaching position. I'm eager to develop my teaching skills and professional growth while still in school. I'm looking for guidance on setting goals and identifying resources that will help me become an excellent teacher. I really love this question from Kaysen. You can tell that he just wants to be a good teacher. He's starting his academic career. You know, he says he's a freshman here at WGU, but at the end of the day, what does he want? I want to make sure that I'm a good teacher to my students when I'm ultimately teaching. We received this beautiful response from a graduate. This is Brian. I'll kind of pause here. If you'd like to take a second, I'm going to get a glass of water, or excuse me, take a drink of water, and I'll let you guys kind of skim through this answer, and then I'll point out what I really love about it. Okay, so maybe right off, you'll notice that this is actually a really, really long answer. Not super, super long, but a decently long worded answer from Brian. I love right off the bat, he said, this is my 11th year in education. I've spent 10 of these years in low-income area, which is directly related to what Kaysen was looking to do. Some other important things that I pulled out in here is I loved how he said, be their rock. Again, we're talking about low-income teaching communities. What can he do? How can he give back? How can he provide the best experience and education to his students? Be their rock. You are human, not a slideshow or a YouTube video. Don't forget to be human around your students. Be a teacher, be the teacher you would want to go to and see every day. There's so many great nuggets in this response from one of our WG graduates. I just love this response to Kaysen. And I always like to throw out that Brian here also responded to Kaysen's request 3 hours after receiving the email, after receiving the question, which I just love. I'm not going to read all of these. I just wanted to show you guys some other examples of some answers, and one that's really, really awesome. Again, just like Kaysen and from previous, some of our answers that come in are pretty wordy. We can see over here on the right-hand side, hello, Mary. This is pretty long. We've got 4 solid paragraphs here. We actually used to have it set that graduates also had 2,000 characters to respond, but we've actually upped that limit because we had so many graduates hit the 2,000 character limit that we've now upped it to 5,000, which we love. I love the bottom there, wishing you the best of luck. You can do this, so huge words of affirmation. I would say about 50% of all the answers that we get in actually have personal contact information, meaning here's my phone number, let's actually connect. Here's my LinkedIn, or here's my email, let's connect outside of this platform, and let's continue this conversation. I've got tons of advice for you. I've even seen where we're meeting on Teams right here. I've even seen graduates give their personal contact schedule where they say, hey, let's jump on a call. I can answer your questions. Here's my calendar. Go ahead and schedule some time with me. So I love that. And I'm trying to think of a way to prepare a lot of our askers now on letting them know that a lot of our graduates would prefer to just jump on a phone call instead of writing something out, because I'd say about 50% of all the responses are just graduates saying, hey, love the question. I have all of the answers, but let's just jump on a phone call, whenever you have some free time. Let's do this over phone. The other one that I wanted to highlight here, I've got it in blue up there. This is from George, student of School of Business, expected to graduate in 26 versus 27. I've been working hard to secure an accounting internship. I know I said we had some accounting students in here right now. Accounting internship, and I've been facing some challenges. Despite attending multiple virtual networking sessions and tailoring my resume, I haven't been successful in landing an internship. I'm hoping to connect with fellow WGU alumni students in the Fort Lauderdale area to gain insights on how to improve my internship search strategy. I would greatly appreciate any advice on what steps I can take to increase my chances of securing an internship before graduation. So that was George's question. I love this response. I blocked out her name again, as well as her phone number down there, but she said, I'm in the Fort Lauderdale area and work at a local CPA firm. I can answer your questions, as I also work in recruiting for our firm. Feel free to text me, which I just love. So this is the power of Ask a Grad and connecting our graduates. We have such great graduates willing to give advice, and this is exactly what George was looking for, and even gave contact information for them to be able to communicate outside of the platform. We're also asking for reviews. So we encourage everyone who might be on this call, if you haven't been able to use the platform yet, we encourage you to ask a question, as well as if you have already given advice, or you do give advice in the future as a graduate, please help us make this platform better. we request feedback from both the askers and the responders to improve the Ask a Grad experience. As far as an asker review, we have Ron down here, gave us another 10 out of 10. I love this. He said, "This is one of the best tools I have found at WGU, like having access to a selection of mentors who have been exactly where you are and are now exactly where you want to be. It's great hearing how they made that journey and getting their guidance on the steps and missteps to watch out for." Sorry, I should have said it's the one down below. This is Kayla up above. That was her response. And then Ron was the one who asked the question, and that was his response. Angie here and Joshua. Joshua is the responder. So here's his review. Again, another 10 out of 10. He said, "I was unaware of this resource when I was both an undergrad and a postgrad student with WGU. I absolutely would have loved to have access to peers and alumni who are in my current professional field or projected career that I could ask questions of, advice, gain insight, and build my network of professional contacts. This is an amazing resource that mustn't be overlooked and can't be underrated." One of the most recent reviews that I just love, because I love how they phrased this, came in from Angel. Said, "Ask a Grad is a big brain move. Never even thought of something like that when I was studying. Can definitely be a game changer. Hearing from people on the other side of your goal, highly recommend." All right, so finally, and I'll kind of repeat this again, if you have questions, let's get some answers. Try it yourself. We really encourage it. Try it yourself, start connecting today. And remember, if you are a graduate, which I know we have some here in the audience today, if you are a graduate and you receive a question from a night owl that needs guidance, we encourage you to be able to share your expertise. So if you get an email in the future that says, "From Ask a Grad, Cody's asking a question," I might be a prospective student or a current student or a fellow alumni just asking, for a little bit of advice, thinking that you may have treaded in the same waters that I am right now and just want some good advice from a fellow night owl. And again, we truly appreciate you taking the time, and your fellow night owls certainly appreciate it as well. So that is the Ask a Grad platform. We've got a couple minutes left. I definitely encourage you, if you have any questions, to be able to ask a grad. But if you actually have some questions for me right now about either the platform or anything related to alumni relations, I'd be more than happy to take the next couple of minutes and answer those.
So awesome. Thank you, Cody. When I heard that we were getting this platform, I was so excited because I know when I started off here as a career advisor, like that's the question that everybody calls in and they're like, well, what can I do as an alum? Like, what can I do after I graduate? So being able to connect students and even prospective students to alums to get that answer firsthand is so, so valuable. So I love Ask a Grad personally, and I think everybody should definitely try and use it. If you've got questions, feel free, pop them in the chat. You can also, if you'd prefer, raise your hand. I can take you off mute. We've got about 5 minutes left, so feel free, ask those questions. Like Cody said, anything alumni. So if you've got other questions, feel free and ask those too. Cody, can you give a little bit of insight? I know you and I have talked about this, but just so that people understand, maybe from the kind of back end of Ask a Grad, right? Like you mentioned it uses AI to pick people it's going to send messages to. How many people is it sending those out to? How long does it take them to receive it and all that kind of stuff? Could you just give like a quick
Yeah, certainly. Yeah,
overview of
great
that?
question. Because maybe you guys are enthusiastic like I am. I think we're already in a very digital age, but now we're going into like an AI digital age. It's so interesting how AI is going to play a factor in all of our lives and all of our platforms to make our jobs a little bit easier. And that's also what's happening on the background of the platform. Again, it's reading the questions, it's taking out the key tags, and it's trying to think, okay, of the alumni database, who might be best to answer this? So we do monitor the platform. We're not really going through and reading all the responses or any of the questions like that, but we do want to make sure that everybody's being taken care of. So when we approve the question, when we see that one came in and that it looks like it found some alumni that it can go out to, we go ahead and approve that. It at first goes out to 35 graduates. Now that doesn't why you might ask why that, and it's because we have 400,000 graduates, and if we sent every question to 400,000 graduates, that would be a ton of emails and a ton of upset alumni saying, why are you emailing me every day with all of these questions? And so that's the secret sauce of what's happening in the back end of Ask a Grad, is that we can pinpoint and find different alumni that might be best to be able to answer this question, maybe by geolocation, or a grad might say, hey, I'm really looking to intern at Microsoft, and I've got these qualifications, I've got these certifications, and I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. Are there any alumni out there that work for Microsoft or any ex-employer, said employer? And again, the system might be able to scan that and say, oh yeah, we actually do have several dozen alumni here at WG that work for said employer. Let's go ahead and get this question out to them and see if they can answer this question for this individual. So it goes out to 35 at first. If we don't get an answer within a couple of days, it goes through a series of wait steps and it sends it to more and more alumni, and the pool grows. It does get a number, and then it kicks it back to our department where we look at the question. And if the question ultimately is better suited to be answered by the career and professional development team or one of the other departments here at WG, we might push it over. Every once in a while, I see a question that might come in that I just pop out. Sometimes they're commencement related. Not all of our graduates are in tune with all the latest things that are happening here at WGU commencement, so I might pull those out and be able to answer those questions. But I'd say 99.9% of all the questions go out to real graduates. I did see one question might have come in.
Yes, a question came in and it said that it's directing them to the Protopia platform, which is kind of the brains behind Ask Grad. But they also asked, how do we see our responses and like the question that they've submitted? So they mentioned an example of why it might be important if we notice a mistake after sending in the question, can we make edits to the question?
For example, sorry, just rereading this. Unfortunately, there's not a way to be able to edit the question after it's been sent off. But once it's connected with a graduate, that is a one-way, a connection that you guys have one-on-one that you're able to say, hey, I kind of worded this a little bit awkwardly, or maybe I have other questions that I meant to put in there that I didn't get in there. Let me go ahead and ask those here as well. And that's one of the beautiful things that our graduates are also offering inside of this platform. Instead of just kind of a one and done, here's my answers. Now, best of luck. From what we've seen in the connection that this has been able to create, is all of our graduates are saying, oh no, I love this platform. I now have almost like a new professional pen pal on the other side, and we're going back and forth. And so I would just say, if you're worried, if you made any mistakes or have any edits to your question, as soon as you're connected with alumni, you can just correct that with them on the back end.
Yeah. And the other kind of piece of it, you mentioned that when you send an email out, or that it goes to the email of the alumni. Those responses, though, they also come back to the students via email. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
So there's no login or anything that you need to take advantage of Ask a Grad. It'll just come right back to your email that you used. I think that's all the questions, and we are at time. If anybody has any other questions, feel free, throw those in the chat. Otherwise, I will go ahead and stop the recording. I will be sending out